Inquisitor Manual. Chapter 1. Game Guide. In the first part of this manual, the Game Guide, you will become acquainted with the basics of the game. We will show you how to start a new game, how to choose your main character, and how to shape his characteristics. Subsequently, you will familiarize yourselves with the main character's control and with his interaction with other characters in the surrounding game world. The game world itself, its reality and story are covered in the second chapter of this manual. 1.1 Game Menu. When the game starts, a game menu appears where you can control the following basic functions of the game. New Game. By pressing this button, you will start a new game. If you are already playing a game, you have to save your progress in this game first, because with the start of a new game, the older game will be terminated. Continue if you have opened the game menu when playing a game. Pressing this button will return you back to it. Otherwise, this button is inactive. Save after you start a new game. You have an option to save your current progress anytime, under any name. Information about a save game will display the date of the save and the current location in which the main character is found. There is no limitation of the number of your save games. Save games are stored in the Inquisitor_save games folder placed in your documents. Load. On this screen, you can select a save game that you wish to load. All you have to do is to indicate the respective save game by clicking on a diamond and press the load button. Options. The options menu includes game resolution setting, video, sound volume setting, audio, and an overview of keyboard shortcuts controls. Credits a list of names of this game's authors. Exit. By pressing this button, you will exit the game without saving your current progress. Note: you can access the game menu anytime while playing, either by pressing the escape key or by clicking on the appropriate button in the lower right-hand corner of the game screen. 1.2 Character Creation. After you start a new game, you have to choose its desired difficulty level. Subsequently, choose the main character with which you want to play the game and continue to the Character Creation section. You can press the back button anytime to return to the previous menu. Name. Type in the name of your main character. This name will be displayed in the game journal along with the character's rank. Attributes. Allocate undistributed attribute points to individual attributes. You can lower the number of points for each attribute to the minimum allowed, by which means you will gain other undistributed points for allocation. You can't raise the attributes above the maximum allowed, though. Based on the already allocated points, the values of health, stamina, and mana are instantly calculated. Magic. Depending on the selection of the main character, priest, paladin, thief, choose those fields of magic that you want your character to know at the beginning of the game. The remaining fields of magic can be learnt by the main character from several magical books throughout the course of the game. Skills. This is a list of skills that your character will possess from the beginning of the game. All skills start at the minimal value of 1 and cannot be raised before the game starts. You can familiarize yourselves with their description by moving the mouse cursor over a skill, though. Portrait. Choose a portrait of your main character. This portrait will be displayed in the upper left-hand corner of the game screen while playing and will indicate all negative influences affecting your character. Starting the game. Once you set your character's attributes and select the desired fields of magic, you can begin the game. If you haven't allocated all undistributed attribute points or haven't picked all fields of magic, you will be alerted to it along with a query if you want the program to make the allocation of remaining attribute points and the selection of fields of magic for you. Note: knowledge of a field of magic is a requirement for the game character to be able to learn spells from that field. 1.3 Game Controls. Inquisitor is an RPG, i.e. a role-playing game, and as such requires a higher degree of controls than other games. In this chapter, you will become acquainted with all parts of the game, as well as its controls. Note: the whole game with all of its functions can be, with some exceptions, controlled with mouse only. But to make things easier, there is a whole set of keyboard shortcuts with which you can control the game with more flexibility. A list of all keyboard shortcuts is available in the controls section of the game at any time. Left mouse button. According to the situation, clicking on the left mouse button has the following functions: main character movement. By clicking on the left mouse button, you move the main character to a desired position, if that position is accessible. If you click on the mouse button over a non-accessible position, the character won't move. Note: the default type of character movement is a quick walk. If you for any reason want to switch to a slow walk, press the R key. You can go back to a quick walk in the same way. Attack. If the mouse cursor rests on an enemy, the main character will attack that enemy with currently equipped weapon. Dialogue. If the cursor rests on a character that can be talked to, a dialogue window will pop up. Object manipulation. If the cursor rests on an interactive object, door, chest, barrel, the main character will try to manipulate it, open it, smash it. If the object is locked and the main character has a key on himself, the object will open automatically. Picking up an object. If the cursor rests on an item lying on the ground, the main character will pick this item up and put it into the inventory. If the cursor rests on an item in the inventory, that item will stick to the cursor and become movable. Using an item. If the cursor rests on an item in the inventory, the main character will use this item by double-clicking on it, drink a potion, learn a spell, or a book of magic. Right mouse button. According to the situation, clicking on the right mouse button has the following functions. Casting a spell. If you activate any of the spells located in the slots on the right-hand side of the screen, you will cast that spell by clicking on the right mouse button. Most spells require the cursor to be over the spell's target character, object, while doing so. Using a skill. If you activate any of the skills located in the slots on the right-hand side of the screen, you will activate that skill by clicking on the right mouse button. Displaying item information. If the cursor rests on an item located in the inventory or in the slots on the right-hand side of the screen, a window with information about that item will pop up by clicking on the right mouse button. Among others, a destroy an item icon is present in this window that can be used to irrevocably destroy most of the items. Note: destroying an item can serve as a way of getting rid of useless items, but it can also represent a requirement to finish certain quests. Mixing a potion. If your main character is a priest, you can use the right mouse button in the inventory to mix potions and to make more complex and powerful potions of them. To do so, grab a potion with your cursor that you want to mix with another one and right-click on a potion you want to mix it with. If successful, a newly mixed potion will appear in the given slot of the inventory. Party. The main character can admit subsidiary characters into the party that will be willing to accompany him and to help him. That is quite important because 2, eventually 3 or more, characters are a force to be reckoned with. After admitting a subsidiary character as a member of the party, his portrait will show up next to the portrait of the main character. Subsidiary characters have an intelligence of their own. You can nevertheless issue them simple commands, using keyboard shortcuts, that the subsidiary characters always obey. You just have to remember that a command is always issued to the whole party. Hence, you can't issue different commands to different party members. Attack. By issuing this command, you will order your party to attack anything hostile in the vicinity. Ceasefire. This command results in a party stopping attacking. You can use this for a quick retreat from a battlefield or when you for any reason don't want your party to engage in a fight, e.g. when an enemy doesn't see you and you want it to stay that way. Stay here. Pursuant to this command, your party stays on a position where the main character was located in the instant of issuing this command. The party will actively defend against eventual attacks, but it won't leave the given position. Help me. If the main character fights anyone, i.e. if you attack an enemy by left-clicking on him, and you issue this command, your party members will leave their own fights behind and attack your enemy. You can also use this command when you decide to open a locked object with force. Your party will come to aid you in your effort. Attack a selected target. With this command, you can mark an enemy you want your party to attack. This way, you can also mark a locked object, chest, door, that you want to open with force. Note: most subsidiary characters have their own history, motives, and manners. Thus, even if you find allies in these characters, not everything will always be according to your wishes. Moreover, some characters may not see eye to eye with each other, and so you will have to choose who to have in your party and who to let go. Keyboard shortcuts. Attack, dialogue, manipulation. Left mouse button, casting. Right mouse button, weapon swap. W, run a walk. R, character statistics. C, inventory. I, quests. Q, notes. N, proofs. P, spellbook. S, skillbook. K, change cursor to attack mode. T, map. M, use potion, icon/seal activation. 1 to 0, Allow/forbid the party to drink potions. D. Party command, attack. A. Party command, ceasefire. F. Party command, hold positions. G. Party command, attack the target. Z. Party command, help me. X. Game menu. Escape, quick save. F6. Screenshot. F7. Quick load. F9. Display items and characters' names. Alt. Game screen. Main character's portrait. A portrait that you chose during the character creation process displays here. If the main character is stricken with some negative effects, e.g. immobilization, drunkenness, curse, the portrait will change its color to green. Subsidiary characters' portraits. If you accept a subsidiary character into your party, his or her portrait will display next to the main character's portrait. Subsidiary characters that are not members of your party, but are only being escorted by you, are placed in a different frame in a chain. Health, stamina, and mana indicators. The first, red, bar represents the health indicator. The second, yellow, bar represents the stamina indicator. And the third, blue, bar represents the mana indicator. By placing a mouse cursor over an indicator, you will learn the current numerical value of it. Information window. Important information about game progress, e.g. obtaining a new quest, moving up a level, taking a note, etc., are displayed in this window. Older entries can be looked up using a slider. Game options buttons. 3 buttons placed below the game slots open the game menu, the game book, and exit the game, respectively. Game slots. These 10 game slots are intended for spell and skill icons. A spell or skill icon has to be put into a slot before that spell can be cast or that skill used. You can place an icon by opening the book of spells and skills, choosing an icon of a spell or skill, grabbing it, by clicking on the left mouse button, and placing it into a slot of your choice, by clicking on the left mouse button again. A spell or skill can be subsequently activated by pressing the respective keyboard shortcut, keys 1 through 0, or by double-clicking on the left mouse button over it. You can also place potions and seals into the game slots. By pressing the respective key, a potion will be drank or a seal activated. Spells from seals can be cast in a similar way as spells from the books of magic. A drunk potion will be automatically replaced by another one of the same kind, if they are still in your inventory, and hence it is not necessary to replenish them manually. The same applies to the seals. Game book. Game book is a general term for your inventory, book of spells and skills, notepad, and personal journal. You can switch amongst individual parts of the game book using the buttons in its lower left-hand corner. A button to show the auto map is also situated here. Inventory items that you have gained during the game are stored in your inventory. The inventory has 5 pages in total. On the first page, you can find the equipment and weaponry the main character has currently on. Into individual slots, the appropriate items that the main character is to wear, like armor, weapons, shield, helmet, rings, etc., can be placed. It is not possible to equip the character with more items than there are slots. If the character wields a two-handed weapon, e.g. a bow or a two-handed sword, a shield cannot be equipped at the same time. The slot for it disappears. There are also buttons on this page of the inventory for so-called quick weapons, i.e. weapons that the main character has ready for immediate usage. You can prepare 3 weapons and shields for immediate usage, and you can use these buttons or the W key to switch amongst them. Note: if you want to use bows and fight, you have to equip arrows into the appropriate slot. The rest of the inventory pages represent a backpack of the main character where you can put anything that will fit in. A purse where all gold points gathered during the game are put is also a part of the inventory. You do not have to worry about your purse, since you can't lose it in any way, which naturally cannot be said about your money. The inventory is for the sake of better manipulation, with items divided into the left and right side, and using the buttons located below the inventory you can open any inventory page on any side of it. But you can't open the same page on both sides of the inventory at the same time. Pressing the right mouse button over an item displays an information window with item description and characteristics. The book of spells and skills. Spells that the main character learns during the game are put into this part of the game book. Once learned, the spells are automatically placed on the page of the respective field of magic. You can switch amongst individual fields of magic and skills by clicking the icons at the top of the book. By clicking on the spell or skill icon, a description of this spell, skill, displays along with all the available statistics. You can also grab this icon and place it into any game slot. As far as skills are concerned, only an active skill icon can be placed into a game slot because there is no need to activate the passive ones. Active skills icons are highlighted for easier overview. Notepad. Notes that the main character makes during the game are automatically written down here. The notepad is divided into 3 parts: quests, notes, and proofs, amongst which can be switched using icons at the top of the notepad. In quests, there are those tasks written that the main character received and hasn't fulfilled yet. By completing a quest, the appropriate record is deleted. In notes, you can find common information gathered throughout the game that remain in the book the whole time. The third part of the notepad is composed of proofs, where direct convincing evidence against individual characters is written. This evidence serves for convincing heretics and criminals and is important for trials. Older entries in the notepad, quests, notes, as well as proofs, can be looked up using arrows located near the lower part of its backbone. Personal Journal. The main character statistics can be found at this page. Here, you can see the name of the main character that you chose during the creation, the current rank, attributes, skills, level, immunities, attack, defense, and also the indicator of good and evil that shifts based on whether the main character performs good or bad deeds. There are also cells here in which undistributed points of skills and attributes can be found. If there are some undistributed points available, the buttons of those attributes and skills that can still be raised are lit, activated. In case there are no undistributed points left, or if an appropriate ability or skill is at the maximum level, the button is grayed out and active. Note: to take back the freshly distributed points of skills and abilities is possible only until you close your personal journal. As soon as you close it or switch to another page of the game book, the allocated points can't be taken back. By placing the mouse cursor over a skill, a description of this skill displays along with the requirements for a move to a higher level of mastery. Dialogues. The game is, to a great extent, based on interaction with other characters in the game world. Every person can know a secret that can help you to finish the game. In case you want to talk to someone or someone else wants to talk to you, a dialogue window appears. After each statement of a person you are talking to, you get a list of possible answers and reactions to choose from. For most characters, you have a chance to talk about everything that interests you, which is important mainly for gathering evidence during your investigation. With merchants, there is also an opportunity to visit their store. It is important to have in mind that each person you are talking to will take up a different attitude towards you according to your and his or her belief, your reputation, and if that person has heard about you already. That way, it may happen that a person will refuse to talk to you about certain topics. There are several options how to make him or her talk then. Threatening. For some characters, it works to press on them and to make them answer under the threat of an imminent violence. The threatening itself can consequently lead to even larger deterioration of your relationship, though. Flattering. Through flattering, you can make those characters that are vainglorious and take pride in being right at all times answer your questions. Bribing. The easiest way how to make someone talk is to pay him or her as much as he or she demands. All that matters is your financial capacity. If something important happens during a dialogue, e.g. if you accept a new quest, take a new note, etc., this event will be listed in the information window. Note: a mutual relationship between the main character and the person he is currently speaking to is among other things related to the price of goods with merchants. Therefore, it is wise to be on good terms with them. Trading. If you choose a trading option in the dialogue, an inventory window appears with an offer of merchants' goods on the left-hand side and your own inventory on the right-hand side. Pages of merchants' inventory can be turned in the same way as pages of your inventory. After placing the mouse cursor over an item, a price appears that the merchant demands for it, or for which he is willing to buy that item from you. The basic way of trading is that by moving an item from the merchant's inventory to yours, this item is bought and vice versa. By placing your item to the merchant's inventory, this item is sold. But you can also use buttons from the menu located below the merchant's inventory. Buy. Upon activation of this button, you just have to click with your left mouse button on items that you wish to buy, and these items are automatically put into your inventory. If there is no free space left in your inventory, the last item remains stuck to the mouse cursor. Sell. Similarly as with purchase, you can easily sell items this way without having to manually drag them from your side of the inventory to the other. Repair. Any damaged item can be repaired to its initial value of durability. All you have to do is to click on the repair icon and then click on items that you wish to repair. Price of repair displays automatically after placing the mouse cursor over an item. Identify. As in the case of repair, you can identify items this way that you were not able to identify yourselves, and hence cannot use them. Steal. This option is available for the main character of Thief only, from the mastery level of Apprentice and above. By activating this button and subsequent clicking on a selected item, you will try to steal it. If you are caught, the trading ends and you will face corresponding consequences. Quit trading. By pressing this button, you will quit trading. You can also do so with the escape key. Interactive objects. At many places of the game world, you can find chests, doors, barrels, and similar objects that you can open or manipulate in some other way. If an object is locked, you can open it with an appropriate key or through thief skill thieving, with violence or using a spell, e.g. shatter. To use violence against an object, change the mouse cursor to an attack cursor with the T key first and then left-click on the selected object. Note: every object has a different level of unlocking or shattering difficulty, and so it can happen that you will break your weapon in an attempt to open it. If the interactive object is a chest inventory will display upon its unlocking or shattering. That is similar to the merchant's inventory. There is the content of a chest on the left-hand side and the main character's inventory on the right-hand side. To obtain an item from the chest, left-clicking on it is enough to move that item automatically to your inventory. If you don't have any free space left in your inventory, the item will remain stuck to the cursor. Auto map. Pressing an appropriate button in the game book or the M key displays an auto map of the current location with the most important objects of interest marked, that being icons of individual buildings, church, merchant, and cities, or doors and staircases in the undergrounds. You can go back from the auto map to the game by left-clicking on the back button or by pressing the escape or M key. Game World Map. The Game World Map displays when the main character approaches an edge of an outside location that he is currently located in. An option to go to the world map shows itself as a cursor change. By clicking on any place at the edge of an exterior, a world map will be displayed. Only those game locations that you can visit at the moment are shown on the world map. Their number rises with the game's progression, especially after you move to another act of the game. Most locations become available automatically through the course of the game, along with the progression of the storyline. But there are some places that you have to learn about from certain characters that will reveal their locations to you. The name of the location always displays automatically upon placing the mouse cursor over it. Moving the main character and his party to another location can be done by left-clicking on the selected location. To return to the current location, all you have to do is to press the escape key or left-click on an icon of the location you are currently in. Note: each exterior has a firmly set place where the main character appears upon moving to that location. It can often be within the sight of a group of enemies, hence it is always necessary to be on alert when moving to a location you haven't been to yet. Chapter 2. Game World Guide. Welcome to the Old World. It's a world full of danger and adventure. It is not a world totally different from that of ours, although a few centuries back, in the times of the Dark Middle Ages. Just as in Europe of the 14th century, for example, there are monarchs in the Old World reigning over individual countries that have to cope with the day-to-day troubles of the feudal world, be it the rising power of the aristocracy, demands of citizens growing rich, or the all-encompassing power of the Holy Mother Church, the representative of God Almighty on earth. And when there is nothing else going on, a plague breaks out, or the faithful world is invaded by the pagans from the desert realm of Jadhabal or the barbarians from the distant north. The story that awaits you, and in which you will play the cardinal role, takes place in one of these faithful kingdoms, in an ancient land known as Ulders that its citizens simply call the Realm. As well as other faithful countries of the Old World, the Realm has existed for nearly 1,000 years now under the protection of God. Counting from the instant when the paganism was overthrown and the individual faithful states rose up on the ruins of the ancient realm of Ereborn. While it wasn't a time full of calm and peace, as you might imagine, as periods of prosperity took turns with periods of wars and decay, there was on the other hand nothing in all those long 1,000 years that could severely endanger the faithful world. But that was soon to change, and quickly. The prophecy of Saint Ezekiel, one of the 12 followers of the first prophet, the harbinger of the true faith, written up in the book of Revelation, haunted the faithful world with the fall of the 1,000-year-old kingdom of God on earth and the release of the devil from his prison. That was supposed to happen after an ill star appears in the sky, and the land is struck with 3 terrific disasters called the scourges of God, famine, plague, and a rain of fire. And that is exactly what happened. 3 years ago, a star appeared in the sky that was never seen before. In the same year, the realm was smitten with such disastrous bad crops that the people as well as their cattle were dying from the starvation. Those who hadn't died lived to become a witness of a far more deadlier catastrophe next year, a plague. The Black Death consumed more than a half of all citizens of the realm, turned many towns and villages into deserted places, and threw the realm's population into a deep desperation. But that was not supposed to be the end of the suffering. The third scourge of God struck this year in the form of a rain of fire that burnt everything it touched. The prophecy of Saint Ezekiel simply began to be fulfilled, and there were no doubts that the end of the world was coming. And you know the people, instead of starting to pray to God and to ask Him for forgiveness, whosoever began secretly to evaginate the inwards of domestic animals or desecrate wafers in their cellars in an attempt to catch the fancy of the one who will with the utmost probability take it over here for another 1,000 years. And that is why the inevitable happened. In an effort to prevent the realm from the decay from within, the king had signed a decree which entrusted all of the investigative and judicial power to the hands of the Inquisition. The Holy Office, as is the pretentious name of this clerical apparatus, began to act immediately, and a witch hunting was commenced that had no match to itself in the last centuries. The whole realm was veiled in the fumes of burning stakes. You might think that all problems were solved by this, but quite the contrary. The omnifarious powers of Inquisition became a thorn in the side not only of the potent realm aristocracy that was afraid of their abuse, but above all of the brotherhood of the righteous, an ancient knightly order long entrusted with keeping its eye on the justice in the realm. That is why Aldhurst is being decimated not only with heresy and the panic about an anticipated end of the world, but also with deep inner clashes. And to add to it, the realm has been flooded with monsters from the old times that as if poured out of the gates of hell set ajar. No wonder that the rest of the faithful world watches events in the realm with a growing discomfort, because the taint can easily overcome the frontiers of the realm and infest the whole world. 2.1 Game World Description. Aldhurst. The realm of Aldhurst is one of the faithful countries of the Old World. It is surrounded by an ocean from 3 sides, and the high range of the Moonshine Mountains on the north separates it from the rest of the faithful world. The capital of the realm is Alvaron, where the sovereign of Aldhurst, King Edward II, resides. The whole land is decimated by the scourges of God that befell it in the last 3 years, and you can notice that at every step. Most houses and towns are deserted, business stagnates, there is nothing to eat, and hellish monsters or bands of bandits swarm outside the town walls. The story will lead you to 3 large towns and their surroundings: Hillbrant, Glatsburg, and Alvaron. Hillbrant. Your story begins in the barren foothills of the Moonshine Mountains, in a frontier town of Hillbrant. It is here where the investigation of your first case leads you. The town and its surroundings are governed by Duke Weinberg, who managed for many years to keep the town above water, thanks to the mining of iron or in nearby mines. But when the miners came across an ancient evil lurking in the depths of the earth, the mining was over. Monsters from distant times infested the mines in their neighborhood, plundered the mining village of Asherbald, and spread throughout the foothills of the Moonshine Mountains. Since then, there is nowhere safe other than within the town walls. If it wasn't for the great help of Bishop Quinton, an old and experienced priest, the people of Hillbrant could have ended in all sort ways. But thanks to him, there is still a touch of hope among people. Glatsburg. Roughly amidst the realm, there is an old town of Glatsburg situated. It was built near the former ancient town of Galibornium, 1,000 years ago, in the times when the pagan realm of Ereborn was destroyed under the attack of faithful armies led by Saint Orthenius. It used to be a rich town with massive stone walls, imposing citizen houses, and busy marketplaces, but bad times descended even here. Order in the streets is kept by the iron hand of Grand Duke Heydrich, a considerate and strict man. Recently, though, he has had to face infinite bands of bandits and robber barons that have almost laid siege to the town and won't allow any merchant expedition in or out of the town. Alvaron. Not far from the southern shore of the ocean lies the royal residential town of Alvaron. In its center stands the royal castle, a magnificent structure built in the most monumental of styles. But there are more such buildings in Alvaron. After all, this is where Archbishop Laurentius, the head of the Holy Mother Church, the Inquisitor General Commendoni, as well as other very prominent persons of the realm reside. It used to be a town brimming with endless entertainment, carnivals and fairs, but that all ended. A stifling atmosphere of the end of the world lies heavy on the town now, and the fact that the king has been drowning in his grief over the loss of his only son, the Crown Prince Louis, for several years already doesn't help either. The king. He used to be a powerful sovereign and a dauntless warrior that was willing to do anything for the welfare of his realm. He was loved by people and tolerated by aristocracy, which is quite something. But since the moment his whole royal family died of the plague, including his 3 daughters and the Crown Prince Louis, it started to go from bad to worse with King Edward. He was unable to bear his grief, and wine became his most faithful companion. That was why he didn't think twice when signing a decree entrusting all of judicial power to the hands of Inquisition. And with that he plunged the realm into an even bigger schism that he is not able to solve alone. Though the far worst question is what happens with the realm if the king dies and leaves no heir to the throne behind. Holy Mother Church. When the first prophet died a martyr's death on the cross, he left 12 followers, saint prophets, behind. And it was them who stood at the birth of the Holy Mother Church, a clerical institution continuing the work that the first prophet and his followers started. The mission of the church is to bring salvation to people by guiding them to obedience and repentance, similar to a shepherd leading his sheep. During centuries, though, the church ceased to take care of spiritual matters only and became a powerful player in the fields of politics and business as well. The fortune of the Holy Mother Church moved entirely away from the idea of saint prophets of poverty and renunciation. The spiritual law binds an entire society without exception, and the position of archbishop, head of the imperial church, is comparable to that of the king. No wonder there are many people that don't like it, but it is better to hold one's tongue these days. Archbishop Laurentius is the head of the Holy Mother Church nowadays, an old priest with a long-time experience obtained in service at the Apostolic See far beyond realm's borders. Inquisition. Although the Holy Office was born from the Holy Mother Church, the Inquisition isn't subordinated to the Church in any way, quite on the contrary. Based on the King's decree, everything and everyone is subject to the Holy Inquisition. The Inquisition has the right to investigate and try all crimes against God and faith, that is, all cases of heresy no matter who the suspect is. It is led by the Inquisitor General Cardinal Commendoni, a strict and reserved man that is absolutely convinced of the rightness of each of his steps. The structure of the Inquisition is rather complicated. It breaks up into individual curia that cover the area of the whole realm, and where the superb authority is maintained by an appropriate curial inquisitor. All inquisitorial judges and investigators in that curia that partake in investigations and trials of cases of heresy are subject to him. And we can't forget to mention that the Inquisition is of course competent to use torture during their interrogations. Brotherhood of the Righteous. Many centuries ago, when the old world writhed in agony of crusades waged against the pagan desert realm of Jadabal, a powerful knightly order of the Brotherhood of the Righteous had been born in Alders that took justice into its hands in the time when the then leader of the realm was fighting in distant sandlands for the liberation of God's grave. When crusades died away, the order was preserved and extensive competences in the field of administration of justice were entrusted to it. Paladins of the Brotherhood of the Righteous thus above all became a guarantee of safety on roads as well as within cities. But as their power was rising, many started to raise a warning finger because there was no doubt that the order was becoming more powerful than the royal family itself. Currently, the order is headed by Grand Master Christopher de Malamert, a bold and dreaded warrior that has gotten into a bitter conflict with Inquisition because he refused to subdue members of the order to its authority. Relations between the Brotherhood of the Righteous and the Holy Office are thus very tight. Aristocracy. Individual provinces of the realm are not governed by the king directly, but by the aristocracy. Although the noblemen are king's liege, their power allows them to act relatively independently in relation to the royal crown, in fact. But if they break the bounds, they can easily get to know the king's wrath and end up imprisoned or executed. At the most important places of the realm, noblemen exercise king's power as royal governors, which is a title that the king grants them, even hereditarily, for their services to the homeland. Heretics. Heresy existed everywhere, and ever since the moment the first prophet died on the cross and most of the old world adopted the true faith, there were people that diverted themselves from it for all sorts of reasons, whether they were worshippers of the old pagan gods or followers of the devil. And the Holy Mother Church does its best the whole time to fight against heresy because it threatens the very principles of faith. Those who were found guilty were burnt at the stake so that the flames of divine justice purified their souls from their sinful bodies. The number of cases of heresy was thus constantly kept in check, even though the faithful world was consternated by this, or that heretical conspiracy from time to time. But after the ill star had appeared in the sky a few years ago, the number of cases of exposed heresy began to rise rapidly in the realm, and it was no longer possible to face them in the same way as before. That is why it was suggested for the Inquisition to receive far broader competences than thus far. And so it happened. But the result wasn't as many had hoped for, because heresy took roots in the realm so deep that they reached perhaps into the hell itself. 2.2. Game Basics. Investigation. Inquisitor is a role-playing game, which means that the main character will travel the game world, communicate with other characters, and, of course, fight. The story of the game revolves around an investigation of crimes against God and King. With your main character, you will search for clues of dangerous as well as cunning criminals, gather evidence against them, and convict them. Accomplishment of most tasks is therefore bound to obtaining a sufficient number of convincing evidence that will allow you to exhibit a charge against a certain character and arrest him or her subsequently. According to the Inquisitorial Codex, anything that can prove the guilt of the suspect may be used as an evidence. Most often it will be testimonies of witnesses and corpus delicti, but it can also be, for example, logical deductions of the main character implied from other, seemingly unrelated information. To make your investigation easier, all of the gathered evidence is written down in a special part of your notebook. Arrest. As soon as you manage to gather adequate number of evidence against a certain character, you can look up local inquisitorial prosecutor or judge and ask him to issue an arrest order. Note: if you play the role of priest, you can be promoted to a higher rank after completing certain tasks, and so it can happen that it will be you who will act as local inquisitorial prosecutor or judge. You can naturally issue an arrest order to yourselves then. On the grounds of an issued arrest order, you can go and put a suspected character to jail. Characters are arrested by conveying a charge to the suspect. That person will either give in voluntarily, or you will have to overcome his or her resistance using violence. If you succeed and the suspect won't fight till death, a portrait of the arrested person will show up next to the portrait of the main character. Then it is necessary to escort the arrested person to the local sheriff and hand him or her over for imprisonment. Note: if you do not convey your suspicion to a person and attack him or her directly, you are not acting in accordance with the law, and the suspect has every right for private defense. Torture. Torture is an important part of every inquisitorial investigation, and you are fully entitled to use it. Therefore, you will be able to use 4 torturing instruments in total in the game to disclose the culprits: a rack, a strappado, a pillory, and an Iron Maiden. However, in connection with torture, a notice has to be given. Even though the inquisitorial law allows it as a regular way of obtaining a testimony or a confession, you should approach its usage cautiously, because no one can ever know if a character being questioned is really guilty. And to torture an innocent can socially harm the main character deeply. Moreover, every torture, whether of a guilty or an innocent character, worsens the main character's alignment. That is why you should always try to avoid the torture by obtaining a needed evidence in another way, but that is not possible in all cases. Rack. A rack is a classical torturing instrument where the questioned person is laid on a slant bench and stretched using belts with a winch until his or her limbs dislocate and his or her muscles crackle. Iron Maiden. An Iron Maiden is an all-metal torturing instrument in the form of a double-wing hollow figurine with spikes on the inside, where the questioned person is placed in the middle of the figurine that is then slowly being closed, which results in a gradual penetration of iron spikes into the body of the person being interrogated. Pillory. A pillory is a bench equipped with folding planks at both ends with openings for hands, legs and head into which the questioned person is locked and then beaten with stock whip, burnt with iron, or choked with water poured into his or her throat. Strappado. A strappado is an instrument with which the questioned person's hands, tied up behind his or her back, are pulled aloft, resulting in his or her arms being dislocated in the shoulders thanks to his or her weight. Trial. As soon as you obtain other convincing evidence against an arrested person, you can pass the whole case on to local inquisitorial judge. After hearing out all of the gathered evidence, the judge will decide whether to impose a trial against the accused or not. If it happens so, you, as a plaintiff's attorney, will have to bring forward all of the evidence and eventually put in corpus delicti as well, with which you will certify the accused person's guilt. If you don't have those items at hand, the trial will be adjourned until you will obtain corpus delicti once again. In case you have these items about, or if no items are needed to implement evidence, the inquisitorial judge will deliver the verdict of guilty, and you will be bound to set the stake on fire. Chapter 3. Game Characters. To fulfill your holy mission, you will be able to choose one of three main characters: a priest, a paladin, or a thief. Each character is endowed with many skills that will enable you to develop your character into never-thought-of heights. Skills that the characters possess are of two kinds: common skills with which each character is provided, and unique skills that make abysmal differences among main characters and will thus allow you to try out three wholly different gameplay strategies. It will be up to you only what skills and attributes you will decide to develop for your character. The game is really very flexible in this respect, so that two priests, for example, can differ from each other like day and night. Amongst the common skills of all three main characters there are: melee combat. Increases hit probability and inflicted damage when attacking with hand arms. Ranged combat. Increases hit probability and inflicted damage when firing the bow or thrusting throwing weapons. Armor use. Increases defense against all types of physical attacks and allows for usage of better protective wear. Perception. Allows to automatically reveal hidden objects, such as secret passageways, caches with treasures, and deadly traps. Identification. Allows the main character to identify found magical items without having to visit a merchant. The above-mentioned skills common to all main characters, as well as special skills of individual main characters, represent so-called crafts. Except for them, each main character can master 7 different magical fields in total that belong to magical skills. We will talk about them in the chapter about magic below. The main character can gradually improve in all craft and magical skills and attain higher levels of knowledge, so-called masteries, that will bring him other possibilities and improvements. To attain a higher level of mastery, it is always necessary to reach a given experience level. The main character also must have an appropriate attribute value, strength, dexterity, as well as a respective skill at the required level. While the experience level and attribute values are different for individual skills, the required skill level is the same for all levels of mastery: apprentice, novice, level 1 disciple, student, level 6 journeyman, initiate. Level 11 master, magister, level 16 note. To ease your orientation, requirements for attaining the individual levels of mastery are stated in the description of each skill, both in your personal journal and the books of spells and skills. The maximum value of any skill is 20. A skill value is raised by investing skill points that the main character receives at each level up or in some other way. The rule is that the higher the skill value, the more skill points you need to raise its value again. Common skills. Melee combat. Melee combat includes both the skill of unarmed combat and wielding of all types of melee weapons: daggers, swords, axes, blunt weapons, and polearms. The higher the mastery level of this skill, the higher the chances to hit the opponent. Damage caused to the enemy increases as well. Apprentice, Skill 1, Strength 1, Level 1, Priest, Paladin, Thief, Disciple, Skill 6, Strength 15, Level 7, Priest, Paladin, Thief, Journeyman, Skill 11, Strength 25, Level 14, Paladin, Master, Skill 16, Strength 50, Level 21, Paladin. Ranged combat. Ranged combat is a skill that enables to kill an opponent by a throwing or a ranged weapon. Unlike melee combat, this skill gives the attacker a higher chance to avoid a direct contact with the opponent that pursues his or her death. A disadvantage of the ranged combat is the need to restock an ammunition, arrows, throwing daggers or axes constantly. The higher the mastery level, the higher the chances to hit the opponent. Damage caused to the enemy increases as well. Apprentice, Skill 1. Dexterity 1. Level 1, Priest, Paladin, Thief, Disciple, Skill 6. Dexterity 15. Level 7, Priest, Paladin, Thief, Journeyman, Skill 11. Dexterity 25. Level 14, Priest, Thief, Master. Skill 16. Dexterity 50. Level 21, Thief. Armor use. It is much safer to fight in armor than without it. There is no doubt about that. If one is affluent enough to be able to buy armor, it is very likely that this investment will save his or her life one day. The higher the mastery level, the higher the chances to reduce the damage taken. Also, the chance of receiving a critical hit and the clumsiness caused by wearing a heavy armor are reduced. Apprentice, Skill 1, Strength 1, Level 1, Priest, Paladin, Thief, Disciple, Skill 6, Strength 20, Level 9, Priest, Paladin, Thief, Journeyman, Skill 11, Strength 50, Level 18, Paladin, Thief, Master, Skill 16, Strength 70, Level 27, Paladin. Perception. Perception increases the probability of discovering disguised traps, hidden doors, buttons, hideouts, as well as small items such as rings, necklaces, and any other treasures. The higher the mastery level, the higher the chances to discover hidden objects. Also, the damage inflicted by sprung traps and blindness penalty are reduced. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 10, Level 6 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 20, Level 12 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 40, Level 18. Identification. This skill is used for identification of found items. It helps to find out what kind of object it is, what are its qualities and possible magical attributes. Those who do not have this skill must leave the identification to merchants who are not likely to do it for free. The higher the mastery level, the higher the chance to identify a found item. The character also gains the ability to identify more difficult objects such as scrolls, seals, artifacts, or relics. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 15, Level 7 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 25, Level 12 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 40, Level 24. Priest. The priest comes from the bosom of the Holy Mother Church, who through its holy office fights against all forms of heresy in the realm. The priest has the most extensive knowledge of magic arts of all characters, which means that he above all is suitable to pursue magical skills. Holy Aura. Negatively influences all enemies in sight and makes all forms of attack against the priest, whether physical or magical, difficult for them. Flagellantism. Decreases the amount of received damage. Authority. Drives fear into the veins of enemies and improves relationships with other characters. Wisdom. Decreases the amount of mana needed to cast a magic formula. Alchemy. Improves effects and duration of potions. Mana Restoration. Enables to restore mana, but at the expense of stamina. Spiritual Insight. Allows the priest to look into the spiritual plane of the world, thanks to which invisible and hiding creatures can be seen, and the might of characters' own magic formulas can be heightened. Skills of Priest. Holy Aura. Holy Aura is a skill that all the priests of the Holy Mother Church can develop. It will create a permanent spiritual shield, taking its energy from the faith in the one true God and protecting its bearer from dangers threatening him on the part of any conceivable enemies. It is a gift the priests receive for taking the orders and a powerful weapon for those who are led by their mission to places where divine sight cannot see. The higher the mastery level, the lesser the chances the priest will be hit by an enemy's attack or spell. The magic defense of all priests' enemies is also lowered. Apprentice, Skill 1, Strength 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Strength 14, Level 9 Journeyman, Skill 11, Strength 26, Level 18 Master, Skill 16, Strength 38, Level 36. Flagellantism. Flagellantism is a peculiar skill previously banned and punished, for its roots lie in an originally heretic cult of the Flagellants, also known as the Whippers. The Whippers believed that self-torment is a way to remedy the world, and so they publicly exposed and whipped themselves en masse to make the world better. The cult was later incorporated in the Holy Mother Church, and flagellantism began to be performed as a means of strengthening the body and the spirit. The higher the mastery level, the higher the pain tolerance of the priest. Fatigue penalty decreases and fear resistance increases as well. The chances that a critical hit of the priest will interrupt his spell casting or an attack are lower too. Apprentice, Skill 1, Constitution 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Constitution 14. Level 5 Journeyman, Skill 11, Constitution 26. Level 12 Master, Skill 16, Constitution 37. Level 24. Authority. The authority of the priest is based on a natural respect he gains by his firm belief that he is performing God's will. It is an inner strength which serves as a shield for the priest's spirit and a support in his work. Not only the faithful have the respect, but the heretics and hellspawns submit to it as well, although only against their will. The higher the mastery level, the higher the cowardice of enemies the priest struggles with. With every successful attack, there is a chance that the enemy flees in horror or will be paralyzed by fear. Also, the effect of threatening is bigger when the priest uses it in a dialogue. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 20, Level 9 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 50, Level 18 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 70, Level 37. Wisdom. Wisdom is the priest's strength. Thanks to their wisdom, the priests are able to absorb a huge amount of information and use them for increasing their knowledge and understanding. This helps them to better understand and perform spells of all magical books. The higher the mastery level, the lower the amount of mana necessary to cast a spell. The mana loss for casting a spell decreases as well. On the contrary, the probability of successfully casting a spell increases and the time needed to restore mana after casting a spell decreases. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 18, Level 10 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 46, Level 22 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 66, Level 38. Alchemy. For many centuries, alchemy was a field neglected by the clergy and only taken care of by the Royal Alchemist Guild and, if tolerated by local bishops and governors, also by folk seers and herbalists. Only in the 10th century did the Brothers of St. Fiona's order start to study this science, and the first achievements came soon, especially when it came to mind and sanity affecting elixirs. Thanks to this, alchemy was accepted as a spiritual science by the St. Messia Council and soon became very popular within the clergy. The higher the mastery level, the faster the effect of potions which add mana, stamina, and hit points. The potion maker is also able to make more complex potions consisting of 2, 3, or 4 different basic potions. Apprentice, Skill 1, Constitution 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Constitution 12, Level 8 Journeyman, Skill 11, Constitution 24, Level 16 Master, Skill 16, Constitution 39, Level 29. Mana Restoration. Mana Restoration is a skill vital to any priest. It allows him to restore a part of the maximum amount of mana using concentration, which is however paid by a stamina loss. Saint Orthenius, who always longed for an unlimited source of mana because he did not want to reconcile with the idea that he could be ever left without a power in his fight against heresy, is considered the discoverer of this mental ability. The higher the mastery level, the lesser the amount of stamina used up by this skill. The amount of mana restored increases at the same time. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 16, Level 10 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 33, Level 26 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 57, Level 40. Spiritual Insight. Spiritual Insight is the most controversial of all the spiritual skills. It enables a priest to connect his consciousness with a spiritual plane of existence which alchemists call the astral world, thus gaining many supernatural powers. The problem with this skill is that while in the astral world the priest is deprived of his own sight, in the spiritual insight skill cannot be terminated before its time to end comes. The higher the mastery level, the better supernatural powers the priest is gaining while in the astral world. His intelligence increases, His ability to cast spells of all magical books improves, and the duration of spiritual insight is longer. Apprentice, Skill 1. Intelligence 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6. Intelligence 26. Level 8 Journeyman, Skill 11. Intelligence 41. Level 16 Master, Skill 16. Intelligence 72. Level 39. Paladin. The Paladin is a member of the Knightly Order of the Brotherhood of the Righteous, an opposing force standing up against the boundless authorities of the Holy Office. He is called up mainly to fight, and his special skills correspond that. Sturdiness increases the amount of Paladin's hit points. Holy Protection increases Paladin's magic resistance, which enables him to better withstand magical attacks. Enemy Estimation reveals some of enemies' characteristics, thanks to which Paladin gains numerous advantages during a fight. Divine Strike increases the probability and amount of damage of the critical hit, the most powerful blow in the game. Defense increases defense abilities of the Paladin, but at the expense of his stamina and hit probability. Smithing allows to repair damaged items without having to visit a merchant. Skills of Paladin. Shield use. Faith is not the only thing that can protect a person from danger. In many cases, a shield which protects from a deadly attack of an infernal beast or a fierce heretic who cooks human insides and fornicates with black goats in the cellar below his house helps more than an unshakable faith in the Lord. The founders of the Brotherhood of the Righteous Order realized this and decided that every member from the novice stage until his death shall be trained not only in weapon and armor use, but in the fight with a shield as well. This skill therefore increases the control of a shield. The higher the mastery level, the better the shield protects the knight. The chances of receiving a critical hit are lower as well. Apprentice, Skill 1, Strength 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Strength 18. Level 10 Journeyman, Skill 11, Strength 44. Level 22 Master, Skill 16, Strength 69. Level 39. Sturdiness. Every Paladin of the Brotherhood of the Righteous Order shall be persistent in his fight against injustice. That is what one of the Order's regulations says. And the Paladins keep this commandment, for their sturdiness enables them to survive many bloody battles. Sturdiness increases the Paladin's stamina, which anybody who drenches in blood daily will appreciate. The maximum hit points increase when the Paladin becomes an apprentice, as well as when he is promoted to a disciple. His stamina increases after he is promoted to a journeyman, and his poison resistance increases when he becomes a master because an experienced Paladin cannot be poisoned easily. Apprentice, Skill 1, Constitution 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Constitution 15. Level 9 Journeyman, Skill 11, Constitution 25. Level 22 Master, Skill 16, Constitution 45. Level 40. Holy Protection. Holy Protection was adopted by the Brotherhood of the Righteous from the Imperial Holy Cross Order, which has been developing it since the day it was founded. The principles of Holy Protection have been reputedly discovered by a novice named Benjamin del Toro during his first crusade. The rumors have it that it was supposed to protect him from the lure of Jadabal brothels. At the end, the spiritual training had borne unexpected fruit, which became a welcome contribution to the Order and its holy mission. The higher the mastery level, the higher the magic, fire, frost, and lightning resistances. Apprentice, Skill 1, Constitution 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Constitution 18. Level 13 Journeyman, Skill 11, Constitution 27. Level 28 Master, Skill 16, Constitution 48. Level 45. Enemy Estimation. Estimation of an enemy is a useful skill which enables the Paladins to discover strong and weak points of opponents with their experience and use these weaknesses to their own benefit. This makes an experienced Paladin a more dangerous opponent than anybody else because such a Paladin knows where to inflict a wound, what the weaknesses of his opponent are, and when to retreat from a fight. The higher the mastery level, the more qualities of an opponent the Paladin can estimate. Chances to hit, armor class, and spell penetration increase as well. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 10. Level 6 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 20. Level 12 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 35. Level 24. Divine Strike. Divine Strike represents a conjunction of divine wrath and the strength of the Paladin's arm, i.e. a conjunction of spiritual and physical side of justice. Using the Divine Strike, a paladin can multiply effect of a regular melee attack, which is however costing him twice as much stamina. The higher the mastery level, the more probable the critical hit, which can stun an opponent for a moment. Apprentice, Skill 1, Dexterity 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Dexterity 10, Level 9 Journeyman, Skill 11, Dexterity 20, Level 16 Master, Skill 16, Dexterity 40, Level 33. Defense. The Paladins of the Brotherhood of the Righteous are trained in combat. Since their novitiate period of training for combat is often the only way to enforce justice in the realm. Combat, however, requires not only attack skills but defense skills as well. Therefore, the defense skills receive as much attention as the attack skills. He who can defend himself is more needed in the battle than the famous barbarian berserkers. The higher the mastery level, the lower the damage taken by the paladin, but at the cost of a stamina loss. The duration of the skill is longer as well, and the chances of defending completely against an attack are higher. Deadly attacks will not kill the paladin, but will only decrease his chance to hit temporarily. Apprentice, Skill 1, Speed 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Speed 18, Level 8 Journeyman, Skill 11, Speed 26, Level 18 Master, Skill 16, Speed 36, Level 34. Smithing. Smithing is an indispensable part of the warcraft. Therefore, the Paladins of the Brotherhood of the Righteous are skilled in it as well. The protection of justice in the realm cannot be stopped because a paladin's sword has broken or a part of his armor fell off. Without the smithing skill, the enforcement of justice would be dependent on gold paid to the smiths for the repair of broken equipment. The higher the mastery level, the more complicated armor and weapons the paladin can repair. Apprentice, Skill 1, Constitution 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Constitution 10, Level 11 Journeyman, Skill 11, Constitution 20, Level 24 Master, Skill 16, Constitution 40, Level 41. Thief. The thief is a former nobleman that was deprived of all property, of his title, and nearly of his life as well, which made him an outlaw dependent only on himself. But he got a chance to gain his status back, and in that effort his special skills acquired during years spent among the worst scum of the realm will surely come in handy. Eloquence improves communication with other characters and makes prices in shops more favorable. Agility allows to avoid an attack completely and to return part of the damage back to the enemy. Ambush, a surprising attack that increases hit probability and damage amount. Stealth hides the thief from the sight of other characters and allows him to sneak past them undetected. Stealing, a handy skill on the other side of law though. Thieving allows removal of detected traps and to open locks of doors and chests. Magical attack allows support to the thief's weapon attack with magical powers that inflict much bigger amount of damage. Skills of thief. Eloquence. Eloquence is a skill that can do miracles. It can improve the thief's reputation, lower the prices of items in the shops, ease persuasion during dialogues, or get the thief out of any trouble. It is no wonder then that eloquence is practiced mainly by people who often find themselves in problematic situations. The higher the mastery level, the higher reputation bonus the character gets. It also affects prices in the shops of items being sold as well as of items being bought. The threatening skill improves, and if a reputation loss occurs, it is lowered by the eloquence of the character. Apprentice, Skill 1, Intelligence 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Intelligence 15, Level 16 Journeyman, Skill 11, Intelligence 25, Level 29 Master, Skill 16, Intelligence 36, Level 41. Agility. Agility is good both for the body and the mind, an old imperial saying says. And this is especially true when a deadly attack which could separate the soul from the body for all eternity occurs. Dodging a brutal enemy attack is a useful skill anybody who often finds himself in situations solved by violence can use. The higher the mastery level, the higher the chances of dodging an incoming attack completely. Higher level characters are able to wound an enemy while defending themselves or confuse him completely by a clever maneuver. Apprentice, Skill 1, Dexterity 1, Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6, Dexterity 22, Level 12 Journeyman, Skill 11, Dexterity 39, Level 22 Master, Skill 16, Dexterity 72, Level 44. Ambush. Ambush is not only a crime punishable by death or at least by chopping off a hand, It is also a skill useful for those who like to do, well, surprise attacks. It is a tricky fighting maneuver when the assailant takes advantage of the fact that the victim does not know about his presence and thus easily inflicts wounds much worse than if the victim had defended. The higher the mastery level, the higher the chances to hit the victim and the damage inflicted. The chances of causing a critical hit and an instant kill are higher as well. Apprentice, Skill 1. Dexterity 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6. Dexterity 20. Level 10 Journeyman, Skill 11. Dexterity 40. Level 20 Master, Skill 16. Dexterity 70. Level 35. Stealth. Stealth allows a character to become almost invisible to all who do not pay attention. The character uses shadows and enclosed terrain features as well as his spiritual ability to look like he is not there at all. It is, however, quite an exhausting activity that costs the character some stamina. The higher the mastery level, the better the stealth effect. Also, the stamina demand is lower and the probability that the character will stay hidden even when somebody is watching him increases. At higher levels, the character is able to stay hidden even after casting a spell or attacking an enemy. The duration of inconspicuousness is longer as well. Apprentice, Skill 1. Dexterity 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6. Dexterity 18. Level 14 Journeyman, Skill 11. Dexterity 36. Level 26 Master, Skill 16. Dexterity 62. Level 40. Stealing. Stealing is a filthy crime, and nobody can say otherwise. However, it is also self-evident that it is a useful skill which gives one many opportunities. It happens to everybody sometimes that they long for something which belongs to somebody else. Unfortunately, only really skilled thieves can attempt to steal something really valuable and get away with it if they get caught. The higher the mastery level, the more opportunities the thief gains, his chances of a successful theft increase. He can steal not only on the street but in the shops as well, and there is a greater chance he will not be discovered when he makes an unsuccessful attempt. Apprentice, Skill 1. Dexterity 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6. Dexterity 22. Level 9 Journeyman, Skill 11. Dexterity 44. Level 18 Master, Skill 16. Dexterity 74. Level 36. Thieving. Thieving is a useful skill which allows the thief to open locked doors and chests and remove traps. Even though this skill can be used for doing good deeds as well, it was called after the more frequent way in which it is being used. Anyway, no matter for what purpose this skill is used, one must count with the fact that picking a lock or removing a trap is a time-consuming task that costs the character a lot of energy. The higher the mastery level, the less time is needed for opening a lock or removing a trap, and the less energy it takes. Apprentice, Skill 1. Dexterity 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6. Dexterity 15. Level 6 Journeyman, Skill 11. Dexterity 26. Level 12 Master, Skill 16. Dexterity 50. Level 24. Magical Attack. The magical attack skill allows a character to interconnect the body and the mind for a short period of time and to inflict an attack during this time which not only causes physical damage but certain magical damage as well. It can be a fire damage, a lightning damage, a frost damage, or a poison damage. Such attack will cost the character some mana though. There is a dispute lead amongst the Holy Mother Church of how it is possible that laics have such supernatural powers when their faith, which is usually considered to be the main source of magical power, is minimal or none whatsoever. That is why theories emerge that supernatural powers of a human being do not come from faith but from a state of mind. The higher the mastery level, the bigger magical damage is inflicted and the less mana is consumed. Also, the duration of the skill is longer. Apprentice, Skill 1. Intelligence 1. Level 1 Disciple, Skill 6. Intelligence 14. Level 7 Journeyman, Skill 11. Intelligence 28. Level 14 Master, Skill 16. Intelligence 40. Level 35. Magic. Magic has its basics in 7 magic fields, or skills, whereas each field includes 10 unique spells. To gain knowledge of a field of magic, the character must first obtain a magical book, and by learning it he gets a new skill. At the beginning of the game you can choose, based on the selected character, which magic skills, fields of magic, you want to know from start. The remaining fields must then be learned by the main character from obtained books. The main character can gradually improve in all fields of magic and gain higher levels of knowledge, so-called masteries, in them that will bring him a betterment of spell effects. All main characters are allowed to gain knowledge of any permitted or forbidden field of magic, yet only the priest can achieve the highest mastery level. Paladin can reach the level of student only, while the thief can get up to the level of initiate. To attain a higher mastery level, it is always necessary for the main character to gain a certain experience level, and he must have the intelligence and the respective skill, field of magic, at the required level as well. Conditions for attaining a higher mastery level are the same for all 7 fields of magic. Novice, Skill 1. Intelligence 1. Level 1 Student, Skill 6. Intelligence 18. Level 15 Initiate, Skill 11. Intelligence 38. Level 35 Magister, Skill 16. Intelligence 60. Level 45 Fields of magic are furthermore divided into permitted and forbidden according to which magical books the Holy Mother Church allowed and which it rejected. Permitted magical books. Theologia Arcania. Book of Divine Magic Adversum Maleficarum. Book of Magic of True Faith Disquisitiones Magicae. Book of Magic of Miracles Directorium Inquisitorum. Book of Inquisitorial Magic. Forbidden magical books. Liber Artem Magicarum Prohibitarum. Book of Heretical Magic Elencos te Pseudonymum Nocios. Book of Pagan Magic Liber Lucifer Ordinis Novae. Book of Infernal Magic. Spells. The main character must know the respective field of magic before he can cast spells. But the knowledge of the field itself is not enough. It is necessary to find spells that belong to this field of magic and learn them. Spells can only be learned from magic scrolls that can be bought in shops or obtained in some other way, e.g. in treasure chests. However, the main character can only learn those spells for that he has the required mastery level. The required mastery level can be found in the description of each scroll in the mastery field. The description also says if the main character knows that spell or not. Note: if there is a scroll with spell in the inventory that the main character is not able to learn, it is graphically distinguished from those that the character can learn. This way, you can easily tell, for example, if a merchant offers spells that the character doesn't know yet. Book of Magic. List and description of all books, spells, potions, and more information on magic can be found in the Book of Magic. Seals Fire. Lightning. Frost Magical Books. Permitted Magical Books. Theologia Arcania, Book of Divine Magic. Adversum Maleficarum, Book of Magic of True Faith. Disquisitiones Magicae, Book of Magic of Miracles. Directorium Inquisitorum, Book of Inquisitorial Magic. Zakazam Magic Nihi Liber Artem Magicarum Prohibitarum, Book of Heretical Magic. Elencos te Pseudonymum Nocios, Book of Pagan Magic. Liber Lucifer Ordinis Novae, Book of Infernal Magic Spells. Theologia Arcania, Book of Divine Magic. Adversum Maleficarum, Book of Magic of True Faith. Disquisitiones Magicae, Book of Magic of Miracles. Directorium Inquisitorum, Book of Inquisitorial Magic. Liber Artem Magicarum Prohibitarum, Book of Heretical Magic. Elencos te Pseudonymum Nocios, Book of Pagan Magic. Liber Lucifer Ordinis Novae, Book of Infernal Magic. Potions. Basic Potions. Composed Potions. Elixirs. Armor and Weapons. List of all types of armor and weapons can be found in the Book of Armor and Weapons. Protective wear. Boots. Gloves. Helmets. Armor. Padded armor. Leather armor. Scale armor chainmail. Plate armor. Full plate mail. Shields. Buckler. Round shield. Large shield. Pavis. Short-bladed weapons. Knife. Dagger. Stiletto. Falchion short sword. Double blade. Long-bladed weapons. Short saber. Saber. Backsword. Long sword bastard sword. Two-handed sword. Blunt weapons. Combat staff. Great club. Mace. Flail warhammer. Two-handed flail. Axes. Axe. Great axe. Combat axe. Two-handed axe. Double-bladed axe. Battle axe. Bows. Short bow. Long bow. War bow. Composite bow. Arrows. Polearms. Lance. Trident. Long lance. Pike halberd. Partisan. Throwing weapons. Throwing daggers. Throwing axes.